everybody, and welcome back to the I Don't Know Running podcast, where we share our experiences that make running fun and sometimes not so fun. I'm Lewis, and I'm a self-admitted lazy ultra runner who's full of some turkey.
I'm not full of that much turkey, but I'm Mitch, and
You're just a turkey.
I'm just a turkey that's was surprised by the white stuff out there this morning.
Yeah, I stayed up a little bit later last night. Yesterday was Thanksgiving, so those that are listening know when this is being recorded. And it was, I could hear little like pellets, kind of like little frozen sickles hitting the window, and didn't think much of it. And then when I went to bed, I could tell there was a nice dusting.
I could tell just based on how bright it was inside the room.
Yeah.
Like, because you could tell like the moon's reflecting off the snow and it makes it look brighter outside.
Yeah, when I walked into the bedroom to go to bed, we have little windows, and I looked across to the neighbors. I could see the neighbors. You can see the neighbor's roof. And normally it's black. It was not black.
It was not great driving here today. Like, It seems like the snowplows were surprised too, because I don't know how much has been plowed. Like, it's kind of...
How much is it? I can see like the deck has a couple inches on it.
The roads are covered.
Really?
Yeah, nothing's clear. Like, I don't know what the highway looks like because I didn't take the highway, but the roads are covered.
Oh,
So,
okay.
If you ran this morning,
You might have had a slippery run.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, especially this time of year when it's just... some stuff is frozen, some stuff isn't. It's been cold the last couple of days.
It's kind of that icy, slushy. Like, I saw my first car in a ditch on the way here too.
Oh my goodness, already. Wow.
Yeah. So whoever did that was that guy. Couldn't even wait one day.
Wow. Yeah. So it could have been a slippery morning for you. Fortunately, though, well, yeah, I asked you if you'd ran. You said no. And
I'm like, what?
I said, oh yeah, you get to run on the Ultra G, and you said Terrence moved his?
Yeah, so Rudy and I have been, if we've mentioned this already, we've been doing a strength training program with Terrence. Right now we're going in twice a week, and I've been texting back and forth with him about going today. We were going to do a third day, and he didn't have a good excuse. He's got excuses like...
Rudy?
Like Lewis, that he's just, I said,
they're reasons, not excuses.
So basically, you're just lazy. Yeah, basically. I'm like, man, I said, the roads are kind of nasty. I don't know if I felt like driving out there, but you're 5 minutes from his office.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's not a big deal for you. So, and then we've gone back and forth, and he was just texting now. But so we've been going, and we've been doing this whole, and I think it's helping. Somebody asked me how yesterday we had people over that ran, and then we just hosted coffee, which we do every year. Usually I'm running. And somebody asked me, about my foot. And I said, it's probably about 60%. Like, I'm not limping as much. Like, I can walk somewhat normal, but I have the Achilles issue, and then I have another appointment. They're going to look at it. It's plantar fibroma is what, at least what Google tells me. So there's a lump on the bottom of my foot on top of that is painful when I touch it. So kind of looking it up, and it's like there could be surgery involved. So I got a appointment at the end of this month. So I'm really hanging on to that and just doing the strength training program that Terrence set up for us. And I think that's helping. I think that is actually at least me to be able to walk without limping. So I would try running now, but I kind of holding on to that appointment that's coming up.
Is it helping you mentally also, you think?
I think it is. I really appreciate Rudy showing up and, humoring me. So, and it is good. Like, we got there, we both had yesterday. Well, he worked yesterday. He's 5 minutes away. I had yesterday off, so we went in there at 7 a.m, and he said, we asked him on Monday, like, what time you're going to be here? And he said, and I think he was careful how he said it, the practice opens at 7. Well,
he didn't say he would be there.
That doesn't mean Terrence was there at 7.
The practice opens at 7.
But DePrada,
he should run for like politics, some kind of politics.
Yeah. And he knew what he was doing. So Dave DePrada was there with a patient. And so
okay.
we were there, and he shows up as we're getting done, rolls in. I think he's known for that. Like, a minute before an appointment, he shows up. So we're finishing up. It's like, yeah, where were you? I didn't say I was going to be here. I wish I could do it in a South African accent because I try to completely mock him.
Oh my gosh. Try to do the Terrence Rubin accent.
Yeah. So then we sit around. He's like, hey, you want some coffee? Like, yeah. So we sit around. It was freaking awesome. Like, we sat around the his little coffee bar there.
Yeah.
And he makes coffee. So we're drinking coffee. And then the guy that he's going to work with comes in, and it's a friend of his that owns Higher Grounds. So we were talking to him, and it was kind of funny. He says, yeah, I moved that. You notice we moved the Altergy out of there? He's like, they wanted, some stupid amount of money to move it. So
Altergy did?
Yeah, I don't know if they have special, but he said it turns out it wasn't that bad it sounds like it was harder to move than what it was, but there was a little bit that was involved in moving it out of that room and moving it over to the spot that it's in now.
Well, I'm sure it's not light.
No, I don't think so, but they had to kind of, I think it was interesting how they had to move it. So now they had to redo the power over there because it takes a different power supply.
Okay, 3-phase maybe, or...
So I think it turned into more of a thing.
Wow. I thought you were going to say part of the strength training program is that you help him move equipment around.
Oh, that would have just killed my bag.
He's like, yeah, be a part of the Platinum Pink program and you get to help me move.
Platinum Pink Plus. He made fun. No, it's not. There's no plus in it. He had to make sure he told me.
You will not find that on the app or the website. There is no Platinum Pink Plus. That's only for Mitch.
I want the plus. So
I'll just get a Sharpie and just put it on your Platinum Pink card.
Yeah, right. No, but it was fun. We sat around there for a little bit, just kind of talking about stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he created that area, as people could come in. As obviously if he's with a client, he's going to be busy with a client if they're doing workouts and stuff like that. But what he likes about that is people can come in. If you wanted to come in at lunch and hang out and have coffee,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember him when he was painting the picture. That was 100% in the picture. That atmosphere of coming in, hanging out, and just having something to drink.
Yeah, and his little waiting area is kind of in the middle of all of it. So it's kind of, they have private rooms.
Yeah.
So they can, talk to people, as they're going through their issues. And then the workout area. So and it's kind of right in the middle of everything. It's really kind of cool.
It is. It is really neat. Well, I'm glad that's helping. It looks like it's helping in a couple of ways, obviously physically, but also mentally, because you're so tied to your runs, and when that's taken away, that's going to affect you.
Yeah.
So,
we've been busy, so we've been doing, cleaning stuff in the house, and we've been, just doing different things, and I've been going there, so it's kept me busy at least.
Yeah. And on the back end of it, hopefully you come out healed, stronger, and ready to go, ready to tear it up next year.
Yeah. I can tell it's helping, and we're only a third of the way through.
Yeah. That's cool. We are in the Thanksgiving season, and obviously this is a time of turkey trots, and we had a couple big ones locally. I thought it was pretty cool to pull up Grand Rapids and see the results of that. Grand Rapids Turkey Trot is a big one locally. How many people run that? Do you know? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. That's the one that pops up at the top of your search, so it's obviously pretty popular.
I just don't have. Well, let's see. There's 54. Wow, that can't be right. 54 pages of 100. Is it really 5,400 people?
Yeah, that could be right.
Wow, that's a pretty good sized.
That is
5K.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, I know it's a big one, but wow,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that kind of size. So yeah,
I'm
roughly.
curious how big Zealand is because Zealand, we talked about this before, they sold out. So
Yeah, Zealand's is not as big.
but there's probably not as much parking. There's probably not. It's just the infrastructure probably can't handle it as much.
It's interesting. Their Turkey Trot's not as big. Number one, it's an 8K. It is 1,500 people, so it's still good size for a Turkey Trot. And it is a popular one, but it's also an 8K.
But that distance is crazy.
It's a weird distance
because you think about, I was looking at something on Instagram about all the majors and how big they are.
Yeah,
and like London being 50,000 people. You can do that because you set them off in waves, but you think about a 5K, it's not like you.
Yeah.
How do you can't make them that
everything big. Tightens up too.
Yeah.
Because, your marathon is going to range from whatever. I know it'll be 2 hours, but let's say the local 2.5 hours to 6. Well, that's a big window. That is stretching the field out. You know what I mean?
It really is. And
whereas with a 5K, it all comes in.
Yeah.
So
what's the between the first place guy and last place
of which one?
Of a
Grand Rapids?
Of a 5K like that. Yeah, that would be interesting to see.
So what did we say? Well, first of all, yeah, Zach Ripley won with a time of 14:30 chip time. It's interesting. He was 2 seconds behind. He didn't start right at the front.
Oh.
He was 2 seconds off.
He was running late.
The clock/gun time was 14:32, but his chip time is 14:30. Yeah, so he had a 14:30. So let's go to page 54.
We don't have to call out the person that was last. I mean, there's some kind of pride in that though, being last. At least you still did it.
And the last,
which is probably a walker,
place time was 1 hour and 10.
Wow.
55 minutes. Right? Is that right? Yeah, 55 minutes behind. Whereas a marathon, you're stretching it out over 3.5 hours or 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
But I say that to say what your point was, you can line up 50,000 people in waves, but with a 5K or an 8K, well, this is a 5K, positioning in it does and it doesn't, right? Because it's still ultimately chip time.
Yeah.
But you're jockeying a little bit more in those 5Ks.
That is rough. I just know I think I've only done one 5K where I actually did a 5K, and I'm not that fast. But usually if I do a 5K, it's the day before a marathon. It's like a bonus.
So it's more of just a fun run.
It's just something to stretch your legs out and, drink
Yeah,
beer
because
afterwards.
you're usually doing some kind of a shakeout run the day before.
So when they do that, then you can usually get a little mini medal so you can line them up. I kind of like that deal.
Yeah.
And then, but we did that the day before Missoula, Tammy and I did. And oh my gosh, the people that line up in the front with strollers and kids and stuff like that. Like, we've talked about this before. But I just remember some little girl cut her off, took her feet out from underneath her.
Yeah, it is a little like, man, I get it.
It's chaos. Like, I don't know how you.
I get the desire to be, like super inviting to everybody.
Right, but people got to know it's not going to be safe for you and your little kids.
That's a good point.
Close to the front.
That's a good point.
And it should be inviting, and it should be that way, but you should understand. Get your kids out of the way a little bit. Bring them to the back. I'm not saying kids don't belong. I'm just saying that they need to be safe.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I hadn't even thought about that. I was thinking more from the runner side rather than the family side. That it's holding back the runner, but realistically, no. It's straight up unsafe for when you have, especially when you have that many people in a 5K going that. I mean, that's a good point. Yeah,
I saw something somebody posted, it was Roger Bonga posted, if that was what race
Turkey
it was, but a deer came across and
really?
slammed into somebody.
Oh,
yesterday.
wow.
And I don't know if that was local or not.
I don't know the Grand Rapids course that well to know if it was there, but anyway, it is that time of year. Kind of get just some shout outs to Zach Ripley for winning the Grand Rapids Turkey Trot.
And he said Dan Kasperwitz that
Dan
we've had
took
on here.
6th, with a time of 15:18. And then some names that jumped out. Todd Buckingham works with Terrence.
Yeah.
He finished 5th, just ahead of Dan by a second.
They must have been racing him.
Had to have. Because everything is a second apart. So I wonder who caught who. Like, was Dan catching Todd and didn't quite get him? Or did Todd
Or were they running together
Dan
the whole way?
Yeah, true. Yeah, may have. But congrats to, Zach Ripley winning that. Pretty cool. He ran it with a time of 14:32, which is a pace, actually 14:30 chip, pace of 4:41. 4:41 per mile. That's nuts. The winner of the Zealand 8K Turkey Trot, Luke Koopman, with a time of, which is nobody will understand this time because nobody runs an 8K. So he ran a 24:46, but the pace was a 4:59. So still cooking. So congrats to them. Pretty cool. And that is one kind of a neat thing about the Zealand Turkey Trot being an 8K. You get a 10K.
You get more for your money.
Well, but the point, like, nobody gets themselves ready to run an 8K. Like, you can go, okay, I know what I can do for a 5K because it's basically an all-out sprint. And then you go, okay, I got to dial it back a little bit for a 10K. But for an 8K, kind of like the 25K, the Riverbank run, I know how to run a half, but it's those last 2 miles in the 25K that'll get you. They'll bite you.
I was going to say, they get you.
And the same at the 8K. You get done with 5K and you're like, holy smokes, I still have 2K to go.
Just try to hang on.
You do. I ran Zealand's 8K a couple of times. It's a fun race. But anyway, I bring all that up to say at least it was nice that this weather didn't hit yesterday. It was clear sailing.
Everything.
Yeah, it was clear sailing for everybody.
This stuff you risk injury. So then you're not. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. But it is that time of year. All those turkey trots going on. So congrats to all those that got out and did that. We want to touch today on Strava a little bit. They just announced in the last month kind of a big change to their safety protocols or something within how they talk to other apps. And it is causing a ruckus. Strava, if you don't know, if you're listening to the podcast and you just started to get into running and you don't really know, Strava is the Facebook of running.
Yeah.
It's the social platform for running.
And if it's not on Strava, it doesn't count.
Yeah, that's what you see a lot of people say. Although there are a lot of results that don't show up on Strava because for whatever, those that aren't on Strava, they still ran a race. So it does count.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
But it is one of those, it is a place where a lot of people go to have community in running or any endurance sport, triathlon, whatever.
And what's nice about Strava, any exercise app, any Garmin or Sunuto, they all, even my, I'm trying to think of what the other ones are.
Like watches?
Runkeeper that you can do on your phone. Yeah. They all link to Strava as far as input. So that Strava is the biggest holder of all that data. Like it all goes from all these different platforms into Strava and post.
And so that allows all your friends, so you can all come together. So it doesn't matter that you have a Garmin watch or a Coros watch or a MyFitnessPal or whatever you're tracking.
And you can shame your friends for
not. You could say, wow, you're slow.
Yeah.
What was that cartoon I sent you? This was funny. I sent this to Mitch and Nicole this week, and it had a guy and a girl pictured one above the other, and they're texting. You can tell it's a look of like they're just getting introduced to each other, kind of. They might be dating or something, and he texts her and says, "Hey, I want to take this slow.
I like to take it slow."
And she says, "I know!" Exclamation. I follow you on Strava. So that was funny. I got a chuckle out of that.
Yeah. And the opposite of that, though, I've talked to friends. Like, I know specifically Sean, when we were running together, and she was talking about where she had to slow it down, like where she's working with a coach and they tell her to slow, like you have to, your slow days. She's like, I found myself not wanting to post those on Strava because other people are looking at it, and then you want to make up an excuse. And it's good that she says that, because I have a lot of friends. I feel like they do that. Like you'll look at their title and it'll be something ridiculous, like, hey, I had to take a slow day, or they'll put on their slow, and you look at their heart rates, like that wasn't an easy day.
Yeah.
Like that was a hard day. So there's a lot of scrutiny that goes into Strava.
There's a lot of, unfortunately, I would say, there's a lot of that feeling. And it's like, because I would do it, and I just would have to tell them, like, why? Like, why do I feel I have to do that?
My titles are always, I know I suck. Deal with it.
Yeah. But at any rate, so yes, that's what Strava is. It's a collection point for all things endurance sports, swimming, biking, running, triathlon, all that.
It's cleared up. Swimming doesn't count. But
And it's interesting. Boy, you go to like what workout that is in Strava, there's like 30, 40 things. Kayaking, canoeing, all this different stuff, right? So it's a collection point for all these things, all the data. But what Strava has now done, what they used to do is say, all right, coaching app such and such. And, it's not just one-offs. These are legitimate applications that can talk to different applications. So
Strava would be an output to these coaching apps, right?
Yes. So that coaches could then help train their athletes. Well, Strava has now made some changes, and they're not going to let that happen anymore.
The way I read it, like I read it too, and I didn't look at it that deep, and I thought that they just had to follow.
Yeah. But so DC Rainmaker, again, he is somebody in the endurance sport community who tests and gives reviews on all kinds of gear and watches and Strava, like MyFitnessPal or Strava or whatever, Coros app or Garmin app and so he reviews all this stuff. So he is in the know. He stays on top of this stuff, and he put out an article and a video, which he does for all this stuff when it happens. And I just had, oh my goodness, this just updated and really screwed up I had this ready to go, and the page screwed up, and now look at my text. That's my text for the article now.
That's kind of how you think and talk anyway. It's fine.
Yeah, in one line. There we go. So he put out he actually, for him, because he stays in the know, he saw this and he went, well, hey, wait a minute, what is this? And started digging into it. And it's not great for any coaching app out there that relies on
Strava
data to help coach your athletes. And what normally happens in scenarios like this, where a major, like a company, like an Apple or whatever, right? Or Strava in this case, when they have relationships with other applications or companies, they'll say, hey, we're going to have this change. You need to get ready. In about 6 months, we're going to drop it. Well, they didn't do that. They said, hey, we've got this change. You're done in 30 days. We're not going to have it. 30 days. 30 days in this season, like right now, where we're in the holiday season, where you don't have the same manpower. I mean, just kind of it's just not a very friendly move by Strava.
It's not nice. The only thing I could think of is there's got to be something cybersecurity related issue that they're running into, and it's like we got to close this loop now. That's the only thing I can think of.
Totally get that and totally understand that. And I'm on board with safety and all of that kind of thing.
Because we talked about this before we got on. That happened to Garmin. They got ransomware, and they had to pay ransom to get out of that a few years ago.
What's interesting, and I would say different about this, though, is, and I watched the DC Rainmaker video, and he went through all of this stuff, and he did talk to some of that. He did, like, talk about some of that. But the thing of it is, most of this data is public because you have it on Strava. It's there.
Right.
Like,
so
if you said, I don't want this to be public, you can say, I want this private.
Right.
And you could even have that be your default. But if you choose, like, I want this to be public, anybody can go and get it.
They can go and see it anyway.
You can go and see it anyway. So it just doesn't quite make sense.
It doesn't make sense that it's the output that they're changing rather than the input. You know what I mean? Like, the input would be more, you'd think would be all these apps that are
connecting to in,
but they're sending out. That part I don't quite understand.
Unless it's some HIPAA thing where they're trying. I don't know. But all I do know is the coaching world that relies on data that gets disseminated from Strava is a mess right now, trying to scramble to figure out, what are the other ways that we're going to be able to get that data. And I don't know if other apps already have connections with Garmin, or I would think so, because they connect with a ton of stuff too.
Now's our chance to start a company, Lewis, that takes the place of Strava.
Yeah, and grow it. Some of the, oh my gosh, the ads on this page, I can't read the bullet points that I wanted to read. It's dumb. So anyway, if you want to, just go search DC Rainmaker Strava and you will get the highlights. So here's the main. So ultimately, right here. The highlights are here. So third-party apps can't show data beyond the user itself. Artificial intelligence and machine learning is still prohibited, which still means it has been. And no impact to most developers are the three highlights out of an email that they sent. Because he reached out to Strava and said, hey, can you explain this a little bit? And they basically said the same thing that was released and gave no explanation for anything more. So it looks like they sent him back. I think he updated this and sent an update that they did kind of touch on a little bit more. But a big change. Anyway, at any rate, for those of you that use Strava to help give information to your coaches, that's going to change. You're going to have to figure out a different way to give that to your coaching, either app or individual. Although I guess if it's more on the individual basis, they can follow your Strava, but then they have to do a ton of manual entry, essentially.
Right.
So anyway, that's that. And then the last thing, we just wanted to throw out a couple of questions here. I thought this was pretty interesting. We pulled these from the running community on Reddit, and they have a couple here. One is just a silly question. And this one, though, I thought was interesting. This was I pulled from the weekly running questions. Why does drinking water on cool weather runs feel so silly? I went for a 15-mile run in 49 degrees without water because my 5 a.m. brain said, it's cold. You don't need water. I was wrong, and now it is cool again. I'm heading out for an 11-mile run. I have no idea how much water to bring. When it's 90 and humid, I know I have to bring a ton of water, basically it says. But what do you do for cold weather? So what do you do?
Well, like you and I, when we run, carry a pack, don't drink enough, and let it freeze, and then it's not available anyway.
Yeah.
so it's basically just weight at that point.
You get to carry weight. You do need to, the short answer is you do need to take water.
So what do? We actually started putting our packs underneath our jackets to keep the water warm enough to where we could actually use it.
When it's really cold. And I'll tell you, the part of the problem with running when it's really cold like that is you don't want to do anything but just run.
I know.
Any extra movement sucks.
I know.
So, yeah.
But it's really hard at that point. But
like
if it's cool, like say it's above freezing, it's 40 degrees, you still need to drink.
Yeah, 100%. I thought it was interesting in cold weather. This was one of the responses, and I have seen this before too. In cold weather, when you're not sweating as much, most of your water you lose is through your breath, because your breath contains so much moisture that's expelling from the body.
I guarantee
from the lungs.
Even in 0 degrees, my jacket, that's why I have to wear layers the way I wear. I'm still sweating.
Yeah.
I have to wear layers just to keep my jacket from freezing.
Yeah. But you're not sweating as much as when it's 90.
True.
And then here was just a funny question. I thought this was just silly. And this does come from, this was kind of a neat, if you want to just have fun, they have I don't know how Reddit works, but it has like areas that you can post into. And this one said, the Super Moronic Monday, your weekly Tuesday stupid questions thread. So this was a question. And Mitch, I'd love to know your answer on this. I am still shedding glitter from my marathon 10 days ago. I'll be using more glitter on Thursday for my Turkey Trot. My question is, if I only apply glitter at races, how many races do I have to run per year in order to constantly stay slightly glittery? Can you help me with that?
I don't even know how to respond to that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that you should wear lotion that has glitter in it and just apply it every day.
Glittery lotion.
Yeah.
And you'll stay glittery.
Yeah.
There you go. Perfect. Well, that's a great
answer.
That is a great answer.
There's got to be something out there. I mean, I appreciate wanting to be glittery.
Yeah. It is, yeah.
Look that up. Is there lotion?
That's a great answer. I like that answer better than some of the ones I read. But that is this week's episode. Go check us out on Patreon. Go check us out on Facebook. Go check us out on YouTube and all those different listening platforms, from Spotify to Zencast or Podcast or all those. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, do all of that. But that is going to wrap up this week's episode of the I Don't Know Running Podcast. Be sure to tune in next time as we share more about what we just don't know.
Till then, happy running.